Cranston, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. He's from Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. He's a multi-instrumentalist, and he has 6 albums out, all told, of originals. He's in a number of bands, including Jackson Pints, which is an old-time Americana string band, and also Patty C and the Pints, which is more reggae, surf, classic rock type of thing. And he's got his own band that he fronts as well, called the Cranston Dean Band, and solo projects as well. Good to have you.
Great to be here.
And we met at the Albert Hall. That's when I first saw you playing.
Right back. You guys had just finished. Oh no, you guys were about to go on, and I was on right after you guys. So we got to briefly speak right before you guys went on, and then we got to speak again a little bit at length right after I got off.
Yeah, that was Sawmill Run, the old time band that I play in. One of them. So anyway, let's get started. So can you talk a little bit about the various instruments that you play?
Yeah, so my primary instrument is piano, and I think that's where I feel the most at home. Although as I got into college, I was living in Philadelphia, and it was really a pain for me to travel around the city with a keyboard, so I was like, I need to pick up a guitar and learn how to play something that's mobile and be able to communicate my songs that way. So I started playing guitar more seriously in college, and then through that I kind of picked up the mandolin because I got into old-time music, and it's not always great to have 4 guitars hanging around, so I started picking up on mandolin chords and trying to get more into that sound. And then I'd always loved the drums, and because in New Jersey it seems like there's very few really good drummers and even fewer reliable drummers, and so I started playing the drums because I couldn't find enough drummers to fulfill my own gigs, and I was like, well, I can play the drums and sing these songs. I started doing that for a number of years when I couldn't have a drummer on the gigs, and that's when Jackson Pints, who I had known as a songwriter for many years, those guys saw me and they needed a drummer, and they're like, well, if he can sing his own songs and lead a band from behind a drum kit, he can probably do these songs. So I've been with those guys for about 3.5 years now. And so all told, I play piano, guitar, mandolin, and drums.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's a good bunch of instruments to have in your belt. So could you talk a little bit about your early influences in music and how you got started originally in music?
Yeah. How I got started, at least on the piano, was my father came home one day and he said, hey, Cranston, do you want to take piano lessons with Miss Jenny at the Baptist church? And I said, no. And he was like, well, you're signed up for Wednesdays, so we're going to give it a try. And I ended up enjoying that. And I had a music teacher from middle school through high school in our school system. His name was Tom Elliott, and he was just an incredible educator, but also a really, really good musician. He owned a recording studio in Long Branch called Surefire Recordings. Beautiful, beautiful big room studio that he founded with his father. And his father, incidentally, was the radar operator when Pearl Harbor was happening that said, hey, this is alarming, and they said, nah, it's okay. And then it happened. So and he and his father started Surefire Records. It still exists in Long Branch, although they've both passed on. But so as far as teachers go, those were probably my most influential early on influences. And my father has always been a singer and a performer, so seeing him perform when I was a kid was definitely normalized music in the household. He sings barbershop quartet music, so I've always had at least 3 other people coming over and singing around a kitchen table since I was a kid, and so that's definitely been helpful to kind of normalize music. If music's in the house, right, it kind of makes it a lot easier to grab onto, and you feel like that's what we do. We do music.
Great. So, in your more recent years, what have been your main influences, would you say, in your music? Or, genres, influences. What has gotten you on the track that you're on now, or the multi-track that you're on now?
I tend to, in my own writing, jump between genres. I like to think of music more on a whole than kind of dividing it into all these sounds. So I kind of look at genres as feels for a song instead of like this. I play this genre or this one. So I like to think of them as like more vehicles for that feel to deliver the songwriting on. My inspiration for songwriting on a whole is more, I think I fall into the Woody Guthrie comfort those who are discomforted and discomfort those who are comforted kind of thing. So I think my writing is always, I don't have a lot of love songs that are just like, I don't say girl a lot in my writing. I try to write something that hopefully will make somebody think, if not change their mind about it, at least open their mind to discussions that we have going on in our society today, and then also at the same time, for somebody who's feeling, what the hell is going on with all this, I want to bring them a sense of like, hey, I'm feeling that too. There's other people who are feeling that way, so you're not crazy for feeling that way.
So when you started music, writing your music, that is, what instrument was that with? Was it originally with piano, or?
It was originally my best friend, Chris Clark. He played guitar, and I was singing and playing piano. But in high school, piano's not really the coolest instrument. It you gotta wait till college, piano players. But in high school, guitar's a cool instrument. So he played guitar, and I would write lyrics and melodies over what he'd been writing on it, the guitar, and we had a band called The Inadequate Truth, which was kind of an emo band, and we were so sad. I don't even know what we were so sad about. Life was pretty good looking back, and so I think that's where I started writing, and at that point it definitely was a lot more like ooh girl, that kind of lyrics. It wasn't as in-depth as what I like to get into now.
So, of the songs that you've written and that you're playing currently, or that you have in your repertoire, which ones or what themes would you say? I know you touched on this. In particular, do you feel strongly about which songs or themes?
I think that also is like the genre thing for me, in that I don't want to have too many songs about just one thing. So there are love songs in my catalog. I think one song that I play almost every time I play out is called The Golden Cage, and I play it because I worked with a man from Mexico for a number of years, and he'd always told me, like my generation likes to, we don't really like America as much as, he's saying, oh, you guys always talk crap on your country, but he's like, for me, I love this country. It's like, this country's given me all the opportunities I have, and mind you, this man worked very hard for those opportunities. For many years, he worked 7 days a week, and for all the years I've known him, it's been 6 days a week. And, him talking with such a pride about this country that might not be his own country or his place of birth, but it is a country that he has spent so much of his time in and he loves and cherishes very deeply. That kind of got me thinking in different ways. And one day we were working, and there was a bunch of plumbers on the job site that we were working on, and they would just keep saying racist things to him, and he was kind of playing along with it in a fun way, to his credit. But like he would say things like, they would say like, we're gonna build a wall And he would go, "Oh yeah, you want to build a wall? You're gonna need more Mexicans." Things like that, which was just hilarious. It was just like a great way to let it rub off your shoulders.
Yeah.
But that night I wrote this song called "The Golden Cage" because he had described a song that's called "Wallo de Oro" by Los Tigres del Norte, and it's talking about how, you know, America is this land of gold and opportunity, but if you are a recent immigrant to this country, you know, you are in the cage of work, so you can't really enjoy. Yeah, your cage is made out of gold, but it's still a cage, is what he's saying, because I have to go to work. I can't just sit here and do nothing. And so I play that one a lot because one of the messages that I believe as an American is that immigrants are what make this country a great place, and they always have. And I don't know where the disconnect has come from over the years between my grandfather came here with just a shirt on his back, and he worked hard and he provided for his family, and this country gave him opportunities that he could never have, and where we stopped seeing that person as a hero. And I know there's a big argument of, well, my grandfather came here legally, and we built a whole island for him to come here legally.
Yes.
We
Ellis
spent
Island,
so
yeah.
much money of American taxpayer money because we knew at that point in time that the immigrant is what's going to make this country better. Different cultures. If you want to be an empire, you have to understand that everyone's coming to Rome. Once you conquer them, they're coming to Rome, and to try to live off the benefits of empire without dealing with, I don't even want to call it a repercussion of empire, because that makes it seem like it's a negative thing always to have immigration. I'm not saying that, you know, let everybody come on in, because we do need to focus on our own people in many ways. But I do wish that we looked at the immigrant of today the same way we looked at the immigrant of yesterday.
Very, very well said. And one thing we have in common is our love of bluegrass rap, gangster
Gangstagrass.
And they have very similar themes. You know, they're very much about inclusion and things like that. But I think you knew one of the members of the band. They've had gone through many changes.
Yeah, I know Dan, who's the banjo player in that, Dan Whitener, and he's just a really, really, and he's an amazing person. And I don't know him all that well, but from what I do know, you just go, this guy's incredible. He's very well versed on old time. I mean, I bet he could play you pretty much everything that Doc Watson ever did in his catalog, and do it with a real nice replication, but it's also in his own voice. And then he also plays banjo in this very successful band, Gangstagrass. And despite, you know, the musical successes that he's gotten, he's decided to go back to school and focus on mental health, because he wants to provide more mental health to musicians and to artists who he feels, and I feel, are kind of, you know,
Sensitive, I would say.
Sensitive, and I think also in many ways we're the bottom rung of society in so many ways. We're the crazy dreamers, and, you know, we're at the same time, we're the people that as soon as we give an opinion, it's shut up and sing, or you're there to just entertain me, you clown.
Right.
But then, you know, again, I've worked in the trades, and I've heard countless tradespeople, and they all have an opinion on everything, and their opinion, somehow they feel like it's worthy, but my opinion as an artist is not. Go shut up and go entertain. And it's like, well, the crapper's still not working, and here you are gabbing away about your opinions. How about go fix the toilet, will you? You know what I mean? I feel that way. And so I think mental health, where obviously artists are going to be bottom rung. When COVID happened, I I filed for unemployment for the first time in my life. And the first time I had a gig, I decided I'm not going to lie to the government. I'm going to tell the truth. Here I made $150. They took away my unemployment, which is fine. I made do. But then they made me pay them all the money back. And I know people, and it was less than $1,000 because I'd just gotten on it. I'd fought it for a while. And I know people who milked that for a year after it was really a problem and they just didn't go back to work. And I feel like a lot of gig workers and musicians, we kind of got the crappy end of the stick on it because who cares about the artist, you know?
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to touch base with you on was the juggling of work and your musical career. I imagine that's always been a challenge, but somehow you found enough time to devote to your art. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I quit the construction trades, and I'm now just teaching music, doing recording sessions for other people, and doing gigs on my own, and trying to scrape by with that, and it's working out. Kind of diversifying that. When I was doing construction, I did find that there's something nice to be said about when you finally get to your instrument after a day of physical labor. There's something really nice about that. But then at the same time, I think I had messed up. I don't know if you could see it on the camera, but one of my fingers I'd messed up, and I'm glad that I still have the tip of my finger. And so that kind of made me go like, ooh, I don't want to ever risk it. Like, I'd rather be poor and be able to play music with all 10 of my fingers than have any more money. And I think it's worked out in that way. So now my challenge is, how do I balance music on the artistic side, on the I need to pay bills side, and on the I need to educate these people. So lesson planning, booking my gigs and studio sessions, and then finding time to sit down and write and try to, further my own artistic ambition, and not just, being a cog in the whole wheel of music.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about your collaborations and bands. And one of the things I'll point out is your band, your old-time band, won the Making Waves Award. Making Waves.
Yeah.
Could you speak about that band, the Jackson Pines, a little bit, and how you came to win that award?
Yes, so Jackson Pines is a band that is based out of Jackson, New Jersey, and it was founded by Joe Macavecchi and James Black. They've been playing together since they were in high school, and for many years it was a duo. As they started to play more shows, they kind of built the band up, and they got an opportunity to play a big festival. Their drummer at the time simultaneously got an opportunity to go on a big tour. So he had to wrestle with, do I pick one big gig for a band or a whole big tour for another band? And he chose the tour, and I don't think anybody can blame him. I thank him, because they had seen me playing drums and fronting my band, so they called me. Joe was like, hey man, like, I got this gig on the 18th of September, are you free? And I was like, yeah, I'm free, where is it? And he's like, oh, it's See Here Now Festival in Asbury Park, which is a giant festival. It was the biggest stage I think any of us had played till that time, and that was my first gig with them, was just kind of getting thrown to the wolves of that. And so ever since then, I've just been involved with that band. And as the time's gone by, that band got Joe got wind of a tape made by a fellow named Merce Ridgway. Are you familiar with Merce? He's one of the founders. His father is one of the founders of Albert Hall, like the old home place. He would jam with the Albert brothers, and his father was named Merce Sr., Merce Ridgway Sr., and he's a great songwriter in his own right. But we got hold of his son's tapes doing a bunch of traditional songs that had been sung in New Jersey for so long, which it was the first thing that sparked our curiosity, because as old-time musicians and people who love traditional music, to find out that we had a lot of that traditional music in New Jersey from the 1930s, you go, well, if it's being sung by an old person in the 1930s who's remembering this song that was sung around when they were a kid, how long are some of these old folk songs in our own musical tradition here in New Jersey? So this piqued our interest. We got into covering some of the music and repertoire that this family had already established and laid out on tapes, and so we started a project called the Pine Barrens Music Project, and we did Pine Barrens Volume 1, Pine Barrens Volume 2, which is what we won Making Waves Award for, and we're working currently on Pine Barrens Volume 3. And the basis of the project is we were going to try to make field recording style recordings of these old folk songs, and some of them we're reinterpreting our own way, and other ones, especially if we're getting them off of shape notes and we didn't have a recording to reference from, we're going to try to go stick right to the music as best we can, because we don't feel like there is a representation of that somewhere, whereas there's other songs where we heard it and we go, we're going to reinterpret the music because there is an example of that there. So we've been doing this Pine Barrens project through about 2.5 years now, and that's what we got on the Making Waves thing, and that's kind of how we got more involved with Albert Hall as well.
Right, and a shout out to Albert Hall, which is in the southern part of New Jersey. It's the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. And as a matter of fact, I've heard some of the songs that he wrote, some songs about the Pine Barrens.
There's a number of them, yeah.
So shout out to the Pine Barrens. There is a tradition of old time in New Jersey. So let's talk about some of your online presence. I know that you've established an online presence and also a radio show.
Yeah, I have a radio show, and it's on a website called RadioGardenState.com. And the radio show is called WFKU, and it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It is kind of a satire, in a way, of public radio. But the songs that I'm playing are not. They are very much the songs that I think are severely underrated in New Jersey. I mean, some of them are doing great, but I think a lot of the artists, and I play just artists from New Jersey or from the region that will come into New Jersey and play shows, so I try to keep it all. Most of the people that I play are people that I've played a gig with, and I've found through doing it that we have so much great music in New Jersey from all different styles, and one of the things I love the most about it is, as I listen to the playlist, I go, this is what New Jersey sounds like. You'd be hard-pressed to go up to New York City and find, in a day, 10 New York City musicians that are from New York City. So is the sound of New York City really what New York City sounds like? And I would say no. And I think the same's the case with Nashville, Austin,
right.
New Orleans being an outlier, like exception. I think New Orleans, in the most part, most of those people are from New Orleans. That's what New Orleans sounds like.
Maybe Chicago.
Chicago could be one too. Yeah, where a lot of the musicians that you're going to find, that's what the city actually sounds like. And I think New Jersey has this rare thing where this is, we're not a state of transplants. No one's really moving to New Jersey to make their music thing happen, but a lot of us aren't moving out of it to do it either. So I think that's one of my favorite things about doing that radio show is kind of forcing myself to dig deeper into what people are doing musically in this state. And the more and more I do it, the more I'm just like, we're the best state in the world.
That's great.
You can't get what you can get in New Jersey anywhere else.
You get a little bit of everything in New Jersey. You get mountains in the north. You've got plenty of hiking trails. And
everyone can keep saying otherwise. Like, by all means, we built the turnpike to move right through us for you. Just keep on moving.
So when can we catch WFKU?
You can catch that on Wednesday nights on Radio Garden State from 7 to 9.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And Radio Garden State is, do you know what the numbers are for that?
It's an internet radio station, so it is radiogardenstate.com. And they have a bunch of cool programming. Their motto is keep New Jersey loud, and no matter what kind of music you make, send them your music. They are very interested in playing New Jersey music, so send it over.
radiogardenstate.com. Is that one word?
That's it, radiogardenstate.com, one word.
Excellent. I think we've talked a lot about, your passions and things like that. Are there any other kind of pursuits that you're involved in, extra musical, if you will?
I still like doing things with my hands, even though I don't work in the trades. So my mother has a million projects at her house, and I like going over there and helping out. We built a fence for her dogs last summer. We're doing some tool sheds this year. I got into baking during COVID, not like sweets baking where it's a precise measurement, but breads and pies, because you can kind of adjust the dough as you go, and it's more of a feeling. And I like that a lot because it kind of teaches patience a bit. Like, if you messed the dough up, you messed it up. The dough did not mess itself up. It did not, so you got to stop looking for me, I think I have a tendency to try to blame someone or something for this thing that's happened to me, and I'm trying to learn more to no, that was you, pal. You did that.
Good. So let's talk about, and you talked about the Pine Barrens project. What do you envision as future goals for yourself, for your bands, and any specific projects other than that? In general, what would you say is your direction?
I don't know if I have a set direction. I do kind of find, I've already made the deal that I'm not going to stop making art, and I'm not going to stop making music. So that kind of freed me up a bit, because it's really what do I want to do with my time this year or this month, and that can kind of wildly change. For example, one of the things with Jackson Pines that we're doing lately is we're doing an interview series, and we're going around to as many of the people that were, founders of the original Albert Hall, or people that have, old stories about New Jersey, about places that are gone or soon to be gone. And we've been going around and doing those interviews, and I'm really excited about that and trying to preserve some of the stories that we have. Tomorrow we're meeting with a fella named Pete Curry, and he wrote a song called Come On Down to Waretown, which is the unofficial anthem over at Albert Hall. It's about going out to the hall on a Saturday night, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to say. A couple weeks ago we interviewed Dr. Angus Gillespie from Rutgers University, who made that Merce Ridgeway tape that we initially started this Pine Barrens project with. So in the Jackson Pines world, I'm excited about that. I love history, so it's really nice to kind of get in and dig through our own stories. It's not going through stories about the Revolutionary War where hundreds of people have tried before to dig up these things, and you really have to find a sliver of your own unique story. But it seems like this is pretty untouched, and we want to capture that. As far as my own projects go, I'm just trying to play as many shows as I can. I feel really confident in my ability to put on an entertaining show, whether it's 30 minutes or 3 hours. And as far as the bands I'm playing with, same thing. I'm just looking forward to making more music. I don't have a retirement plan.
Well, that's excellent. I mean, what you're doing is a documentarian work, and I'd like to help on barlowknife.com to hook up with that and introduce people to it as well.
Would love that.
So I think we've got some similar aims there. And so we do hope that we will be keeping in touch with you at barlowknife.com. I just wanted to ask if there's any special memories or, any kind of festivals or events that kind of centered you, and anything in your gigs that stand out as a particular memory, and so forth.
It's a tough one because it all does after I've been doing it for 15 years about now, so it is, and I'm sure it just kind of blends in. I think most of the memories I do have around it are positive, happy ones. I think there's like time periods that I like very much. One for me is right before COVID happened. I was the band members and mates I had at the time. We finally were moving like a school of fish. It's only really happened twice in my playing time so far. And I think it's such a rare thing. I've been in plenty of ensembles where, it's going good. But to get into that moment where you don't even have to look at the other players and everything just ebbs and flows with it. You're so locked in with everybody, and so there's definitely a period between like 2018 to 2020 that I have really, really fond memories from, because the outfit that I was working with was really, really linked up together. But since then, unfortunately, the bass player at the time just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth during COVID, and nobody's been able to reach him since. And the guitar player from that time had a stroke shortly after COVID and is still working on getting his fretting hand back. Incredible guitar player named Riley Shiro. And I know he'll get it back, but so at the moment it's kind of...
You play some bass yourself, right?
I play a little bit of bass myself, yeah, out of necessity.
Yeah, that's one instrument I haven't really worked with that much, so I credit the bass players out there. So would you have any... by the way, you talk about music as a form of communication is what I'm getting, and I think that's very much the case, the communication between the other musicians, and I think you have a special rapport with the audience as well.
I really, really cherish getting any connection out of the audience or getting any feedback. If I can make the audience laugh, if I can make an audience laugh and then cry in a set, that's like, it doesn't happen all the time. You obviously need a very attentive listening room kind of room to be able to do that. Like, you need the certain frame, but when that happens, I think that's it's one of my highest highs. I think we get such a dopamine rush from playing music with others and having that go well, and I also get a dopamine rush from performing. Look at me, look at me. I'm an only child, so there's definitely something in there. And so I think when those two come together, it is the best high that I've ever experienced. It's the dragon that I chase. And there's not enough time in any of our lives to pack it with as much of that feeling as I would like to, but I will look for that feeling wherever I can.
So any words of advice that you would give to musicians in New Jersey?
Don't move, number one. I think we got everything we need right here. Our roadways connect the whole state. You can get from one end of New Jersey to the other, and I've done it, and play two separate gigs on opposite ends of the state faster than you could move across New York City in rush hour and get from Queens to like uptown. So, I would say number one, don't move. Number two, start going out to, if you're not out there and you're just focusing on an online presence, just know that it's a big connected community. I always say there's 6 degrees of separation in the world. 3 degrees of separation in New Jersey and only 1 degree of separation in New Jersey music. So we have this, really, really locked in community that is more supportive than you would think. And I think the last bit would go to any artist, no matter what, is just keep making art. Don't stop making art. Don't ever stop. My favorite visual artist of all time, and I say this pretty often, is Vincent van Gogh. And it's not because necessarily I think his style of art is the best or that his brushstrokes were the cleanest, but it's that he died poor and he died relatively unknown. And could you imagine if he stopped making art because of those two factors? And I feel like so many people do that. They stop making art because, no one's listening, no one's watching, or I'm not making enough money off of doing it, which are two awful reasons to be making art in the first place.
Right.
So if you can get rid of those things and just make art for art's sake, who knows? Who knows? Maybe your artwork will be up on museum walls around the world. Maybe your songs will be sung by people. There's a line by Jeff Tweedy from the band Wilco, and he says, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's, and now that your song is sung and the whole world's singing along, just know what was yours is now everyone's from now on. And I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful line. So don't move out of New Jersey musicians. Know that we have a great community of musicians that are all rooting for you, no matter what kind of music we make. I think I can speak for Ron as well. We're rooting for you. So don't move, get out and involved in your communities, and don't ever quit making your art, because I don't know if you know this, but we had drums and we had flutes 3,000 and 5,000 years 5,000 and 3,000 years respectively before we invented pants. As humanity, we had flutes and drums thousands of years before somebody said, I want pants. So it's so innately human to make art. And we had paint 10,000 years before we had pants. So making art is so insanely human, and it's so connected to our DNA. So make your art if you're an art maker.
Thank you, Cranston Dean.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Ron Stevenson from barlowknife.com, an old-time and folk and basically acoustic musician site. It's going to connect all the musicians in New Jersey, I hope.
And there's a lot of great ones.
And I hope to discover them all. And I wish you luck on your quest. Where can we catch you in the future?
Depending on when this airs, you can catch me anytime with Jackson Pines. You can follow all those shows on jacksonpines.com. All of my shows get put on cranstondean.com. And if this airs before April 4th, I will be at Smodcastle Cinemas in my hometown of Atlantic Islands, which is a cool new movie theater old movie theater that Kevin Smith, the director of Clerks, who is from our area, he bought to save it from closing, and now he's doing a bunch of events there, and so we're going to be doing a concert there on April 4th, and so hope to see you. I'll be playing all up and down the shore throughout the summer, so hope to see you sooner than later.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.